Breaking news, we need to take you to Woodstock, New Hampshire right now, where a day after signing the bipartisan infrastructure bill into law, President Biden right now standing in front of a bridge that scales the Pemigewasset River. The deteriorating 80-year-old bridge has been on the state's red list of bridges since 2013 due to its crumbling and very dangerous condition. The $4.5 million needed to fully rehab the historic bridge is now on the way because of the passage of the bill, courtesy of the infrastructure deal, with hundreds of the nation's bridges in desperate need of the money that they will now get. Which sectors stand to gain the most? Robert Wolf is the former head of Swiss Bank UBS Americas. He was with the president at the White House yesterday for the signing. Robert, no doubt a victory for the president this was on infrastructure. And I would remind people, Donald Trump, when he was president, was dying for an infrastructure win as well. So this is a bipartisan issue that both sides really wanted.
I mean, it's a victory for the nation. You and I have been talking about infrastructure for over a decade when I testified in front of the Senate and have written numerous op-eds on it. This is something that's long overdue. Forget just bridges. It's rail, it's ports, it's water treatment. I know we're going to go through it, but this is great for our country. And it's always been bipartisan. 40% of Republican senators voted for it. 5 years ago, you would have gotten 95%. And we spoke during the Trump administration, during the Obama. I'm a supporter, irrespective of who the president was. I'm happy that my friend Joe Biden, the president, 46th president, is the one who passed it. But I would have been happy, irrespective of whoever passed it.
Well, exactly. And I think a lot of people will start to, we hope, see benefits from it. It's an obvious play to say bridge and repair stocks, materials, heavy equipment and machinery makers could be major beneficiaries. I was looking at Terex stock. We could put that one up. It makes heavy lifting equipment, huge support platforms on construction sites. It's up 9% this month. Terex is the name, ticker symbol TEX. A chunk of the money is, very much going to go towards those names.
Yeah, to talk macro than micro. From a macro perspective, everything's going to do better. Infrastructure is the fastest multiplier of GDP. It's like 1.6 times. And it's actually the best wage gainer. Per 25,000 jobs, you see not a minimum wage, you see living wages and better. So it's going to help everything. From a micro perspective, I think you're going to see some new angles. You're going to see broadband's going to be huge. I mean, we're going to rural areas where we've never gone before. So you think about education, where people are now learning from home, or Zooms and things like that. So that's going to be huge in farm territory. If you think about, transportation, there's going to be new EV charging stations. We can talk the good, bad, or indifference about Tesla. That being said, there's a reason the stock's done so well. There's a reason GM and Ford's getting into the electric vehicle space.
Well,
and so charging space.
Volvo, BMW,
yeah, so
you've
been speaking about it. You've been ahead of the game. But charging stations is going to be great for this country. So there's a ton of new opportunities. And these are not $15 per hour. We're talking $40, $50, $60 per hour jobs.
I just want to look at the water stocks as well. These are water infrastructure names. Some money is going toward that, and I think that is crucial. We got to get the lead out of some of the pipes in different states there.
Well,
those names are doing incredibly well right now. Look at this. Evoqua is up nearly 10%. A nice move here.
Well, I've spent time in Flint. We actually invested in a company that takes Flint recycled water bottles and make sunglasses. It's called the Circular Economy. But it's not just Flint. It's everywhere around this country that needs not just to change our lead pipe, but also just changing our water treatment. And so with climate action, water treatment's been a big thing.
Robert, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is just speaking right now, and he just said he's aiming to pass the president's Build Back Better plan before Christmas. First of all, do you think, after just passing this $1.2 trillion bill, that the $1.5 trillion plan will pass? Not whether you think it should pass, whether it will pass, especially considering, don't we have to beware of overstimulating the economy?
Yeah, so very different than the infrastructure bill, which I would say is anti-inflationary because of the growth. This bill is being debated right now. What I would say, and I just want to take a step back, I think post-pandemic we need child care, elder care, universal pre-K, and we need to reduce prescription costs. So I'm a supporter of the Build Back Better. I didn't like it when it was $3.5 trillion. At $1.5 trillion, I can get behind it. I think we're going to struggle to understand what the exact pay-fors are and where the CBO scoring, the Congressional Budget Office, will come in on the scoring. So I do think it will be, it's going to be, I think it will pass, but I'm not sure it will pass by year end.
Okay, President Biden just said, and the reason we should be putting up the markets as well, because he has just said that he expects that the Build Back Better plan will pass in a week. That could just be, you know, a puffed out chest on this victory tour here. I mean, a week? This one took forever.
Well, you know, some people say Manchin is as powerful as the President of the United States. He's that 50th vote. My guess, he's been incredibly concerned about inflation. He's going to have to wait to see how the pay-fors come through.
Okay. Robert Wolf, thank you very much.